appreciate the opportunity to talk with you about the work and to have the work in this space and to actually create work in this space as well. We have been collaborating for the past 3 years, and this work is the culmination of an ongoing dialogue that we've had that revolves around The Economist magazine, which is a global political economics magazine based out of London. And when we first started to think about the idea of collaborating, we just sort of sat there and said, where do we begin? And what we really felt was that some place where there was neutral territory, where it didn't relate to our individual bodies of work, but where it was about something that we could both approach really fresh and new and play and experiment and dialogue. So I just happened to, unbeknownst to me, receive a subscription to The Economist magazine, and they were like piling up in my studio, just waiting for something to happen. So I don't know how I got the subscription, but to this day, so when we were discussing it was, where do we begin? And this was materiality that was sitting right there, that neither of us work overtly politically in our individual work, so it was kind of something outside of ourselves that we could just really approach with a fresh perspective. And so we began as an experiment, and then it started to get more serious. The framed pieces, each individual piece is an extrapolation of a week in time. So each piece represents 1 week of The Economist magazine, and all imagery and drawing is in response to that content. And really, the dialogue ends up being a conversation about reality and fantasy. We're reading this material, looking at this imagery, looking at the advertisements that's intermixed with the imagery, and then really cultivating our own personal economies, our own fantasy view of the world and what's happening. So the frame pieces each are a week in a time, on both these walls. And then this piece, which is a more recent piece, we're kind of still digesting it, is actually 3 weeks. And it's the week prior to Obama's election, the week of Obama's election, and the week after. And so there was a lot of dialogue going on at that time about what was sort of happening around the election, not so much about him, but all of the enthusiasm, all of the, let me think of the right words, all of the issues people were wanting resolved, just an incredible amount of energy, which really comes out in the color and the vibrancy of it. And then this piece here is really an experiment to sort of work with the space and the architecture, and also bring in the materiality of The Economist magazine. It's really an experiment that's going to continue after this exhibition. It was 2 days of just working with imagery from the magazine that interested us, and really thinking of reinventing this sort of world diagram to bring in imagery that has meaning for us. And it continues. We are keeping a blog going during the time of the exhibition, where we're going to weekly, sort of on the cycle of The Economist magazine, going to be engaging a dialogue further with those that are in the gallery, and then with people hopefully all over the world. We're going to try and get the word out. I'm speaking for both Narine and I.
I'm really quiet, so I know no one can hear me, that's right.
And it's interesting, one thing about the work is that it's not just about the work, it's about our collaboration and what happens when 2 people come together with really different ideas, and how you can negotiate and translate. I mean, we're constantly, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by this? What does this mean to you? Continuing this dialogue, and that is just as rich as the work itself, and we kind of believe it's a metaphor for how we can approach these issues in the world. It's like a little microcosm of what we can do to face problems, is how we can collaborate, how we can work together, how our model of working might be indicative of what people are doing outside of art as well. So we're very happy to have this work in this space, and thank you for that opportunity.
How did you end up The Economist? It was just totally a random thing that...
I mean, we're both very interested in materiality and imagery, and we both work sculpturally as well. So it was like we stripped away all this text-heavy content and just went into the images and the color and the forms and sort of made it our own. So it really didn't matter. Maybe it could have been Newsweek or other. I mean, The Economist, I think, is interesting because it is not just U.S.-centric, and it has this sort of objective voice. I think that gave us this real sort of neutral territory to begin collaborating. If you're too close to it, it's harder to collaborate because you're so attached to your,
You're both forming opinions about it at the same time rather than having your own. Yeah.